Alright, this is, I think, maybe the third time I've tried recording this fucking shit today, but it's all a learning process. It's a curve that must be swerved. So, here, it's funny talking to myself for so many times about the same fucking shit, but it's good repetitions, I'll say that. Alright, so we're starting off on USD JPY. All three time frames are bearish. We can see, what can we see on this? We can see the weekly is retesting previous structure, which is absolutely beautiful. We've had a wick rejection of the previous structure. Again, another confirmation of potential push to the downside. So seeing this, what we're going to look for is a simple wick up and then the push to the downside. Very simple. And then you gotta think, the way I look at the markets is, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a little pullback, push down. But that's what I'm looking for on the weekly. So now I've got to go down to the daily. And what's that gonna look like, okay? And you can see it. The question is, can you see it? And I can see it. I don't know if you can, but you can see shift of structure, evening star, beautiful rejection from this area of interest. Now price is either going to pull back to this daily area of interest, which is previous structure, and make the push to the downside, or we're going to see a further retracement to the weekly and daily area of interest, and then the push to the downside. So my first area where I've set an alarm is at the daily, and then if price breaks through, I'll simply set another alarm at the weekly / daily area of interest, and then look for my entry signal from those points. 4 hour, you can see clear as day. Price is broke. I wouldn't count this as structure. This is something I've explained, but I would not count this as a higher low, simply because it's just choppy price action. This was just to create the high high. This is the real higher low, this is the higher high. If price broke below this, would you consider it? This is what you got to ask yourself. If price was up to this point and you're thinking, okay, if price breaks below here, we're now bearish, would you consider that? You personally, I wouldn't. I mean, it might have retested the previous structure, but it's just not clean. And trading to me is to find the cleanest, sexiest looking pair. You see all these pairs. There's so many options, It's abundance. Having abundance, you can choose the ones you like, the ones you don't like. Just like women. And so I wouldn't consider it, I'll just count this, wait for the shift of that structure. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's simple. You just move on to another market. But in this case, it did happen, you see. So now all we're waiting for is a retest. If it retests this daily, we have the confirmation of a 4 hour previous structure as well. And we can look for the EMA to come in, previous structure, candlestick rejection. If it doesn't, then we also have another added confluence at this area, which is also a weekly and daily. So either or are very solid areas to take a trade from. Next pair is CAD JPY. CAD JPY, yeah, bear in mind, JPY, I've got 4 of them on, and they're all pretty much the same. Slight different characteristics, but they're all pretty much the same. Again, just like women, they're all the same. Little change here and there, but they're all the fucking same. So we've got 3 time frames bearish, beautiful. We've got a big fuck off shooting star here, again, beautiful. Then we have psychological level 106, waiting for, you see that? We're going to wait for the retest, which is going to be that little wick up, and then kadump. And you can kind of see it, but it's like a little evening star, you see, push up, iffy doji, and then you can see the wick up, and then price to come down and boom, fill this gap up to create a new lower low. And then going down to the daily time frame, you can see how we've just broken back underneath this area of interest and the psychological level. We'll be looking for that retest on the daily after seeing the evening star EMA rejection in the middle of the lower low and the lower high. Solid. Take profit will be at this daily low. Simple. That's all literally all we're looking for, just the retest and the entry signal to go boom. 4 hour looks just the same as USD JPY. All these JPY pairs look the same this week, and they did last week as well. But it's just waiting. That's all it is. It's just having the patience to sit down and wait for the signals to come to you. You know, it's literally as simple as that. Like, you could have as much confidence as you want in a trade, and if you take it and your trading plan did not tell you to take it, it's a shit trade. Doesn't matter if you win or lose, it's a shit trade. You have to wait for your strategy to appear in the markets. Every box needs to be ticked on that trading plan. Otherwise, there's no system. There's no systematic approach to making that money. So you don't know if you're going to be able to make that money over and over and over and over again. This is how you got to think of it as a business. And if you want that business to operate successfully in the long run, that's how you got to do it. But 4 hours the same. Next pair, Euro JPY. You see how they're all the same, just very slight different characteristics. Again, all three time frames are bearish. Weekly EMA rejection, weekly candlestick rejection. Very two beautiful things. We're just waiting for a wick pullback to then go to the lower low of the weekly. On the daily, it's the same. We broke below, then we're just waiting for the pullback to then go low. And you can see as well, I think I didn't mark it on the other pair, but you can see little left head, and then we want to create this right shoulder, and that's where we want to enter the trade to then go boom. So we're looking to enter on this right shoulder with the daily EMA. You can see it's already starting to curve, but we want the daily EMA to come down, create that right shoulder for us, give us that wick rejection. On the 4 hour, we can see price come back up. We could either see price shift structure on the 4 hour, but in order for that to happen, we're going to need to see a low, a break, and then some bullish structure, then another break. If that happens, that'll be beautiful. Extra confirmation. 4 hour shift of structure on a potential right shoulder, rejecting an EMA, rejecting the area of interest. You see how you have to picture all these confluences adding up. That's what you got to do. You got to picture what the week ahead could look like and what you want it to look like. And then from there, it's just waiting to see if that actually happens. You've already got an idea of how you want the market to play out, and then you simply just wait to see if that happens. But you can see it's strong. Look at that engulf. It's beautiful. Have a little breather, and then boom, bakla, down to the bottom. Not much to it. Not much to it. CHFJ, same shit. CHF JPY. This one's quite interesting. I do like the look of this, because we can see we are currently, I haven't even written it down here actually, so we'll do that now. We are retesting, here we go, retesting previous weekly structure. Retesting previous weekly structure, we've just seen big push up, fat doji, and then you should be able to imagine what we're looking to see happen next. Evening star formation, which is going to be another boom, big candle, exact same candle as that, but boom. You know, this shit happens over and over and over. Like that, evening star pushes up, doji, boom. Watch, you'll see it happen over and over. Yeah, look at that. Pushes down, doji, boom. Pushes down, doji, boom. Pushes the evening star, morning star, evening star. Look, pushes down, doji, boom. This shit is just repeated over and over. Right, where were we? Yeah, back to this. Retesting previous structure, beautiful. Then on the daily is the only shit thing at the moment, but this can fix itself throughout the week, potentially. We're above this area of interest, and for me, again, like I said, I'm looking for the cleanest setup possible. So I'm not willing to risk price pulling back, taking an entry here, which is above this area of interest, because price could very much just go boom, da-dum, boom, boom, and hold this level, and then eventually push up. That's not what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for price to clearly break below, to give me a nice little break below, come back then to retest this area of interest, which would be area of interest, psychological level 169. Then we can look for a daily rejection to appear at this, the EMA potentially curve down to here. Then the 4 hour to create structure, give us a shift of structure. Same thing as all the other pairs, but this one looks like it could take a little longer, simply because we still haven't broken below. Then we need the retest, then we need the rejection, then we need the 4 hour. There's a lot to this trade that needs to happen compared to these where price is rejected, is pushed down, the 4 hour shifted, all we're waiting for is a pullback and an entry. But on to the next pair, GDP CHF. I'm going through this pretty quick, but you know, that's just how it is once you've done it 5 times in a day. GDP CHF, weekly is bearish, daily's bearish, the 4 hour is also bearish, right? Some people might say, oh no, the weekly is bullish, but if you look at the structure points, lower high, lower low, this is simply just market structure. Price is pulling back to eventually create the new lower low. Simple. So what I'm waiting for is to see when price gets to a weekly area of interest on the daily time frame, are we going to see some signs of the sellers stepping in? So we have a valid area of interest, we see resistance, support, drag across, resistance, you see very big support, not structure, but you know, nice wicks. And then you can see on the daily, if we move down, what's happened. Simple shift of structure. Beautiful shift of structure, major engulf candle. Now all we're waiting for is a simple retest, rejection, boom, confirmation. And we'll be targeting this level. The reason I'm targeting this level is because you come on to the weekly could very much still continue this bullish formation and continue making higher high, higher low to eventually make the real lower high to make that push to the next downside. So you gotta be careful. As juicy as it looks taking it from this area, you have to keep everything into consideration. So taking that into consideration, if price does pull back, we haven't yet reached this area yet, so price can still pull back, give us a valid entry, and we can target this. And I'm still just looking for a 2.5 minimum risk to reward, which can very much happen in this. Like even with a 25 pip stop loss, 30 pip stop loss, you're still Gucci. But again, that's why we use the lower time frames to enter. 4 hour, you can see we've had that massive shift. We've had that massive shift, and all the way for us pullback to previous support, round psychological level, area of interest, potentially that EMA to, and then boom. It's very straightforward. It's not rocket science, I'll say that. Next pair, AUD CAD. This pair, as we're going down the list, these pairs are getting worse and worse. But overall, these are the best looking pairs I've picked from the market to break down. Just so yeah, there's a bit of variety in there, you know. There's some blondes, there's some brunettes, there's one with a crooked nose, there's one with a really nice petite nose, one's got a freckle, one's got a mole on her head, you know. There's all these little different things about them, but you know, each have their own nice little aspects. AUD CAD is at a higher high on the weekly, right? So what we can see, well, what we can expect is obviously price to pull back to make that next potential higher low. But whether or not we're going to see a wick pullback into this area and another bullish candle, that's ideally what we want in order to buy. But again, you have to take everything into consideration. What could happen is price pullback over the course of the week, reject over the course of another week, then push up, or price could pull back even deeper, because bear in mind, this is the higher high, this is the higher low. Price can pull back to anywhere in here and still be valid to push up. So we just have to wait and see how price reacts to this area of interest on the daily and the 4 hour during the week. And you can see it would be beautiful as a buy. Break, retest of previous structure, round psychological level, 92500. It would be nice. It would be very nice. It would be very clean, I'll say that. Just the higher high is the only worry on the weekly. Other than that, it'd be Gucci. Next pair, Euro C. Is this in my pair? Yeah, Euro CHF. This one again is a. I'm telling you, the best looking ones, they're at the top. This is more of a riskier day trade. So let me go back to the weekly. On the weekly, you can see we are overall bearish. We've just created a lower high, and then realistically, we're on the way to make a new lower low. But you got to take into consideration, look how weak that break was. Barely broke below, big wick rejection here. We have previous structure over here that price is rejected twice now. What we could potentially be doing on the weekly is creating an inverse left head. This could be the right shoulder being created over the next couple of weeks to then reverse and go up. So you can see daily shows exactly what I'm looking for. Clear, resistance, support, simple. We've broken underneath, now we want to see it act as resistance for us to push down to that next structure point. And that's literally all I'm doing. I'm waiting for a break of this structure point, a retest of that structure point, to then trade down to the next structure point. So fucking simple, but effective. That's all I'm looking for, and I'll just be paying attention to the 4 hour, to when it pulls back, because the 4 hours are already bearish, so I'm simply just waiting to see when the 4 hour starts to pull back officially, and then we'll be using lower time frames to wait for a shift of structure. That's it it's literally just that simple. That's all I'm waiting for on pretty much every single one of these. Obviously they're at different stages, but that's all I'm waiting for. Break, retest, shift of structure. This one, USD CAD. We were in USD CAD. So, last week's trade, which ended up passing stage 1 of the 25k account, was I entered around here, I believe. I think my entry was it was around here. Entry was around there, and I believe price came about 2 pips away from my stop loss on this pullback, and then ended up pushing down where I caught a 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I caught something about like a 1 to 3. I'll get a picture of it, but I caught a 1 to 3. This, you can see there was much more potential to this trade, but everything lined up. It was a beautiful trade. The weekly was at the area of interest, rejecting the EMA, rejecting psychological level. Daily had a shift of structure, beautiful rejections on the daily of the area of interest, the EMA as well. It was a very clean, easy to take trade. But this week, I'm not looking to actually trade this. I'm just looking to pay attention to it. Specifically, because the theory I have in my head of what we're going to see, or what we could potentially see, is a reversal. And when I say a reversal, I don't mean a full reversal, I just mean a reversal for the pullback. Because you can see, last time we were here, we had a hammer, morning star, boom, pushed up to this, rejected, granted, okay, pushed back down. Then we've had another major hammer to the same area. And this same area, looking left, if we get this bar out, you can see. Let me make this a little thicker so you can clearly see it, right? Big support, resistance, resistance, these wicks, the bodies, come back even further, it's rejected, it's a very respected zone. That's the point I'm getting at. And price is respecting it. And this is a weekly time frame, bearing in mind, so there's clearly a significant amount of buying pressure here that is stopping price just falling down to this next structure point. Do I believe we'll make it down to that next structure point? Yes. You know, we've seen such a big push and a significant shift. We're going to push down. But in order to do that, it's a big push. So a big push is going to need a big pullback. Big push, double bottom, pull back up, shift, then we can create that next big push, and eventually, make it down there. But it's gradual, it's not all just whoosh, straight drop down to the bottom. So I could very much see this market pulling back further. It might hold this area again, but I can very much see it pulling back up higher. Whether it's going to stop here, whether it's going to stop here, whether it's going to stop in this area, I do not know. But I do believe it's going to push back up. So I'm not going to be taking any sell positions on this. I was originally looking to potentially take a sell position on the retest of this daily area of interest. But after looking at the weekly, again, it comes back to it's not the cleanest looking pair, and I have options, so I'd rather just invest it's return on investment. What would you rather risk your money on? This, beautiful, absolutely beautiful, or this? Let me go back to the weekly, sorry. This, or this, I know which one I would personally rather risk my money on, and it's not this. So, well, that's the breakdown, 23 minutes. It was a minute longer than last time, but obviously I went into a bit more detail on why I don't want to take that, or why I'm not even looking at taking anything on that market. So, adios amigos.